Passover begins at sundown tonight. However, the holiday will be celebrated quite differently this year because of the coronavirus. Rabbi Susie Heneson Moskowitz from Temple Beth Torah is joining us this morning with ways to observe Passover safely. Good morning, Rabbi. Thank you so much for joining us. I understand services at your temple have been suspended. So now what for your congregation?
We've switched everything to Zoom. We've been having Zoom services and unfortunately Zoom funerals. And tomorrow night we're having a Zoom Seder. So we're trying to keep all the traditional elements, but be a little bit more creative. So I have the haroset, which is a symbol of the mortar and bricks that the Israelites had to make when they were slaves in Egypt. The shank bone of the Passover sacrifice, the egg, the betzah, which is also the sacrifice in a sign of spring, parsley, a sign of spring. But then I was having trouble. I didn't have a horseradish root in my house. So I had a jar of horseradish. So I put some of that on my Seder plate. And I'm going to use my grandma's little spoon because that's something I do every year in her pretty horseradish dish. But I had to get a little creative because I like to put the whole root on my table. So I went and bought a celery root because that's what they had in the store. And I might use some ginger, which is also spicy, like the bitter herbs of maror. So we're trying to be innovative and traditional.
I love that, Rabbi, and having a stocked pantry obviously helps you celebrate for tonight. But this is a time when families gather, when it's really all about gathering in your home and trying to celebrate this time. And if you can't do that, what's your advice to members of your congregation? You don't want to sacrifice safety at this time, of course, either.
I would 100% not gather with people that you don't live with on a regular basis, but I would try to meet on Zoom or FaceTime or Skype or Google Hangouts. And people can call in, people can video in, and at least maybe do a few of the rituals. If there's young children, have them ask the 4 questions, the Manish Tana, because maybe they've been learning that in Hebrew school, even virtually in Hebrew school, and let them show off a little bit. You can tell the different families to go hide the afikomen, which is the piece of matzah that we hide before the Seder. And in each house where there are children, they can go look for the afikomen. And you can put something on your screen that says, yay, or a virtual reward. So I think all those things would work really well.
Yeah, I have to ask you, there's been some concern in the Hasidic community where we've seen some gatherings and social distancing not being practiced. That's really taken a toll on some congregations. So can you tell me what you're recommending for those people and how it's important to spread the word to all religious and cultural communities at this time that safety really comes above and foremost above traditions?
I agree with you 100% that safety's got to be the number one because we won't be here next year to celebrate their traditions. So whether it's Jews celebrating Passover or Christians celebrating Easter or Muslims gathering for the upcoming Ramadan in a little while, we have to change. We have to be creative. And for example, I did a few funerals and I did them on Zoom. And it wasn't the same, and I couldn't give a hug to the mourners, but it was wonderful. People were able to be at the funeral who never would have been able to be here in person, even without the virus. So I think it just takes a little bit of creativity. I know for the Hasidic community who's not going to use a computer on a holiday, it takes another level of creativity, but maybe it's going out on your balconies and having a Seder, or sending greetings to people in a new way. But we're at a point right now. This is the apex, I hope, of the disease of the coronavirus. I say I hope because I hope it just dissipates. But we've got to all help it dissipate. We're only as strong as the weakest members of our community, and we need to really remember that.
All right, Rabbi Moskowitz, thanks so much for speaking with us, pointing out the silver lining in such a heartbreaking time and sharing some of your family traditions. We hope you are able to enjoy Passover tonight.
Thank you. Happy holiday.